What would it feel like to shift from noise to silence? What would it feel like to change your default mode of being? Well, in this video, that's what we're going to talk about. And you might think, what the hell does that mean? And why should I keep watching this? Well, the truth is 90% of people aren't going to finish this video. Okay? So this is for those 10% of people who are looking for a different level of change, a different level of peace of mind. And what I refer to as noise and silence, I'm talking about noise, constant stimulus, reaching for the phone, the music, the need for the TV being on, background noise, to silence. So we're talking about that shift. So like I said, 90% of people won't finish this video, and that's what we're talking about. It's for the 10% of people who recognize themselves just clicking through things. It's for the people who are tired of reaching for their phone over and over and over again. It's for the people who recognize the need for background noise, the inability to just sit in silence, and you're tired of that. You want to change your default mode of being from needing the noise to needing the silence. And if I had to explain the biggest shift that I've had over the past year for myself, it's that shift. It's that shift from noise to silence. And I feel very fortunate to be able to share this and to say that. Because part of me feels like it's a bit out of my control, right? But I want to tell you about an experience that I had. This was back in April 2024, so about 7 months ago now, 8 months ago. When you're doing things to improve yourself, and you're mixing and matching things, you're creating the soup for yourself and your health, you reach these points of exponential returns. And this genuinely felt like one of those times. So when we're talking about going from noise, the constant stimulus, to silence, this was one of those exponential experiences toward silence, okay? So in March 2024, I got really fed up with food. And like I was saying earlier, the addictive tendencies towards it. The unending nature of just at night eating, right? And the carbs were just addicting. I could just keep eating. I hit a breaking point with food where I was tired of eating just to crash afterwards. So I decided to cut out the fried foods, the heavy carbs, the sugar. And by heavy carbs, I mean rice, bread, potatoes, oats, the heavy stuff. I decided to cut that out and just eat meat, eggs, vegetables, fruits, and nuts. So a lot cleaner, whole foods, okay? And when I did that, right around this time as well, I signed on a new client on a long-term deal for the work I was doing with my marketing agency. And what happened when I let my body fully transition from the heavy carbs to this different way of eating, it took a couple of weeks. Okay? But after those couple weeks, I felt a new wave of clarity wash over me. And it was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And it has stuck with me since that time. And it feels like one of those things where when you have one of those experiences, you can't unhave the experience. Like, you know that that is possible now. So when this happened, I remember this new wave of clarity hitting me, and it was sort of offsetting. It felt like my eyes were open wider. This was at the beginning of April 2024. I let my body fully transition to this new way of eating, and I felt like my eyes opened wider. It felt like this awakening experience. Like I could think clearer. Like I didn't eat and crash afterwards. Like I could speak with greater articulation of my words. It was this brand new level of clarity that really opened me up to what is possible in that realm. And I felt a big shift from noise towards silence. It's like in this shift, I didn't care to keep reaching for my phone to distract myself. I just wanted to sit in silence. I felt myself pulling too far away from being on the computer and clicking through things, and where I felt that silence, pull me back. And man, there was this moment too, where shortly after, a couple weeks after, into this clarity, I was actually in the car with my mom too, and I literally just broke down crying because of this feeling of clarity and freedom, like inner freedom and quiet. So if I had to explain, my biggest shift over the past year, it's that. It's tipping that inner scale towards silence. And this felt like one of those, exponential moments of making that shift. Like, through all the time, all the years of playing with my diet, of meditating, of contemplation, of asking for more, of playing with my health, felt like one of those exponential experiences for me. And you can tip your scale towards silence. Okay? The thing that you have to recognize is it's the ability to sit with yourself. It's the ability to sit in silence. And almost everyone isn't really capable of sitting with themselves in silence for 30 minutes without distractions, right? Because there's an avoidance there. It's like, why can't people do that? Like, actually sit and think for a second. Why can't we sit by ourselves in a room undistracted for an extended period of time? There's an avoidance of self. There's an avoidance of self there. Because what happens when you do that and you sit with it long enough, this is what happens. You sit with yourself long enough in silence and you don't reach for your phone. You don't want the background noise, right? You don't listen to music. You refrain from all these things. Alcohol, weed, escapism, video games. You refrain from all those things. And when you sit in the silence, things come up. Okay? Things come to you. And they're things that you need to confront. They're the things that you've been avoiding. It's the reason that you don't want to sit by yourself in silence. That's what it is. And that's where you get to tip your scale towards silence. So you sit with yourself in silence and these things come up. These things you need to confront. And a lot of things will come up. It's not all negative, right? All bad, all pain, discomfort. It's a lot of things. But there'll be things you need to confront that you've been avoiding. And that's why you escape through all these different vices. So when those come up, you address them. You address them one by one. And that's how you tip from the noise to the silence. You address the things one by one. And there's going to be fear. There's going to be pain there. But you'll realize you just overcome it. You face it. You stare at it long enough. And all of a sudden that big thing that you've been avoiding, it's like poof, it's gone. You're like, I did that thing. And that frees up that thing within you that you were escaping from. That's an interesting thing to try and articulate. You free up that space within you. You were avoiding that thing within you. You were running away from yourself. So because you freed up that space, you weeded that thing out, you fall back deeper into yourself. When you don't escape yourself, run away from yourself, you confront those things and you fall deeper into yourself. And you find a deeper level of security and trust and silence. That's what we're talking about here. So I'll let you apply that silence practice in whatever way you want in your life, okay? But I feel like I've articulated it pretty well there. To where these things come up when you sit with yourself in silence and you need to confront them one by one. And in doing that again and again, you realize that like you don't want to run away from yourself anymore. Dude, that's the quote of this video. That's a banger. Wow. I know you felt that too. You realize you don't want to run away from yourself anymore because you're filtering through enough things here enough of these illusions of fear that you realize you can do it. And you're like, oh, you fall deeper into yourself. You're like, oh, it's okay in here. I don't want to distract myself with my phone. I don't want to overindulge in these technologies. I don't want to escape through alcohol. I don't want to escape through smoke. I don't want to settle for less than. When you sit with yourself and you confront those things that you've been avoiding, you free up that space within you and you learn that you don't want to continue running away from yourself. And when you stop running from yourself, you fall deeper into yourself. And that's where the silence comes in. That's where that deep self-confidence, that deep conviction, that like energetic confidence comes in. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And this is this one's a banger and a really good summary for the philosophy of this channel. So I hope you enjoyed that. I would appreciate you leaving a comment down below. And I'll talk soon. We will talk soon. Thank you.